Andreas,
We're here, baby.
excited to chat to you today.
Yeah.
How you feeling?
Good, man. Just taught a 12-15 condition class, which had a lot of great energy. You were in it,
I was,
which was
yes.
fun. You went
Look,
back, which was great.
you're a coach, a DJ, an ex-athlete,
If you can call it a DJ, yeah.
a Fitstop business owner,
Yes,
but
that's
you've
true.
been in the fitness industry for over a decade.
Mm-hmm.
You've achieved a lot so far. You're now taking that next step and becoming a business owner with Fitstop. But before we jump into that, I would love you to rewind a little bit. Who are you as a person? Give me a short story.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm Andres. I grew up in Minnesota. I was actually adopted from Guatemala, so I was born in Guatemala. I was adopted when I was 3 months old. Grew up in Minnesota. Um, Saw the Olympics when I was a very young kid. Saw the gymnastics event, and I was like, "Hey, I want to do that." So I started doing that when I was like probably 5 or 6. Made it to nationals a couple times, or maybe 1 or 2 times. I was very young when that was happening, and then made the transition to diving in high school. Kind of natural progression. Got decent at that. My senior year, won state in Minnesota, state championship. Got offered a scholarship to the University of Minnesota as a result. They had a really, really great coach. His name's Wenbo Chen. He's an Olympic coach. He still coaches for the Olympic team. Dove for 2 years. A year in, or about actually 3 months in, I herniated discs in my low back between L4 and L5, so my lumbar spine. And it was basically a culmination of a lot of things that were going on with my training and like overtraining. One, strength coach not being super dialed in with our form and technique. And I think just a combination of just overworking when you're in that age, it's bound to happen eventually. So I dove for another year after that, and made my way kind of into the only thing that really helped the pain was I started taking yoga classes at Core Power. And so I'd say as I kind of phased out of diving, I was taking more and more classes at Core Power because really the only thing that made me feel okay. And that included a yoga sculpt class, which is like their heated weighted class. Like I don't even know if you could really call it yoga, but it's a heated class with basic yoga moves and like light weights. And I'd coached gymnastics and diving in high school, went through college, just kind of as like a part-time gig. And I was like, I think I could be pretty good at this. And so I was like, oh, I'll just start. I was working for Red Bull at the time, and I was like, I'll just start, go through the training, and then see if I like the training, and then maybe teach like a couple classes a week. Kind of just like start as a hobby. Yeah. Really, it's kind of how I found my way into it. And so I started teaching a couple classes a week at Core Power. I'm like now a junior, senior in college. So like 21, 22. And always had been kind of like a peripheral thing. So like work full-time job and then teach 4 or 5 classes a couple times a week throughout. This is still in Minneapolis, yeah. Right? And then so 2016 comes around, I move out to LA. And before I moved out here, it's important. I went through another training, a strength and conditioning training, or coaching training, basically. It's from this place called Alchemy 365 in Minnesota. And they really go in depth of like, they started as a CrossFit gym, and then they kind of moved to just like the strength and conditioning space, where they combined like a yoga with a strength class, which I really loved because it was like yoga in the front end, strength and conditioning in the middle with like legitimate power movements like snatches, cleans, and then finishing with some sort of yoga cool down. And so that was like my favorite things, like great. And so I went through the training for that, and then moved out here in 2016. I was 25 years old at the time. I'm now 34 on Friday. Yeah, here we go. And I moved out here, and I worked for like in-field marketing for about a year and a half, and I kind of just saw the opportunity. My first place that I worked out here was Core Power, and then also this studio called Basecamp. They had just opened basically maybe a year before I got here, and my roommate at the time was in charge of selling the flooring to them. So he physically installed the floor at the Santa Monica location here, in LA, and he's like, dude, you got to go check it out. It's like a really cool, it's a really great vibe. It's a really beautiful studio. And so I went and checked it out. It's HIIT training, which is very similar to what I'd just gone through for training before I left Minnesota, which was really fun. And so I basically just walked in with my resume like 4 days after I moved here. It was like, hey, like, I'm here. Like, can I like go through training and work or like and teach a couple classes, just because I wanted to be a part of a community. Like, it's a great way to meet people. I just moved here with really no job at all. Just like I had my things in my back pocket. I had my experience with Red Bull and a couple other brands from field marketing. And fast forward to about 6 to 8 months later, I was like, I think I would like to learn. I think I want to own my own studio one day. Like, I think that is my ultimate goal. Like at that time, probably like 5 to 10 year goals, own my own studio. And so I asked the manager at the time, my manager, his name's Ian. I was like, hey, I'm thinking about wanting to do this eventually. Like, is there any way you could teach me more about the business? And so this is now probably a year and a half, 2 years, a year and a half into me being at Basecamp. And basically he kind of just helped show me each part of the job of what a fitness manager is, and basically became like a really great mentor for me. And so what I learned when I came into Basecamp, we were on the hard come up, definitely, but we weren't quite where they wanted us to be yet. We were still a very small. There was 3 or 4 studios, right? And so when I came in, he eventually handed his title off to me, which was called fitness manager, which my job was product, basically. So to manage the trainers, and then also like basically you're like a vibe curator. So like you're managing the trainers, you're making sure the classes are, to the level of what is acceptable, and then also like kind of the community driver. So helping plan the mixer. So we did a monthly mixer. We did like different, types of challenges within the studio, fun little like partnerships. That was one of my strengths, since I came from that field marketing and event marketing background. And so I stepped in that role full time, probably 2018. And my other like counterpart, she was kind of on the same trajectory. She's about the same age as me. Her name's Chrissy. Shout out Chrissy. We had a great time together, working together. It was a great couple of years, because by the time 2 years in, right before COVID, we got our studio right before we sold to become a franchise. Our studio itself was, I think, between the 1 to 1.2 million in revenue a year in one fiscal year, which for anyone who knows what fitness is now, that number is high, and it's epic.
Yeah,
like
that's the goal, right?
That's the goal. Yes, 100%. Yeah.
I want to dive more into that story, but let's rewind a little bit.
Yeah.
Chasing the dream to be a professional athlete, getting a scholarship.
Yep.
That's also everyone's dream.
Yes, for sure.
What do you think it is about, I guess, the values you've had instilled in you, or key focuses you've had to go after that drive, and I guess keep chasing that progress?
Yeah, I think the thing about specifically diving and gymnastics is it is so attentive to detail. So like being coachable is one of the biggest things that I am so thankful for from ever being in that type of athletics, because like you're literally you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, and every time someone is watching you, your coach is watching you, they're telling you to change something different that you might not be able to. That's the most very tiniest detail. And I think in a lot of ways we'll see that as like nitpicking, right? Like, or like in life right now I'm seeing it, I think, when I've managed people, I see it as people get defensive, right? And I think that was the thing that I like am so thankful for, is that it taught me how to not, how to like slow down and take the emotion out of it. So like when it comes to like
How
being,
did you handle that? I'm assuming, again, knowing not a lot about diving, but
Yeah.
like you're talking, it's that compound effect of, let's say it's, you're doing 20 dives in a row, and every
Yeah.
time it's like, point your toes.
yeah, it's like, or like you're leaving a little bit early at this time.
Yeah.
The thing is I never thought about it because I was so used to it at that point. Like that was just like, oh, that's how people interact. Like that's how you get better, right? And that's where like I think for progression from a business standpoint that I've learned is like or implemented is a culture of feedback and learning and that like not taking things personally. Like, hey, we're all trying to get better. That's what I've kind of, when I was at base camp, when we were like really like humming, that was the culture. And I think like when it comes to like progressing, like my goal when I first went into college was Olympic trials. Like that was the trajectory we were kind of on. Our whole team was like, our coach was very good at like spotting talent and then molding you into that talent. And so, I would say I was probably on my way, like to at least qualify for some sort of Olympic trials or get close. Right. I don't think I would have gone to the Olympics or like been an Olympic medalist or anything, but I was chasing that dream still, and it was within reach. And I think it was, the obsession of like reaching for that next thing that was both something that was a huge driver for me, and I think it still is, obviously, like based on where we're at right now. But also what it taught me now is like enjoying I wish I would have sat back and like enjoyed it. And like really been able to, instead of always looking to the next thing, really been able to be like, oh, this is really cool. Like this is like the fact that I've gotten here, and it's like in being able to and stop and like smell the roses or stop and like enjoy the ride is like sounds so cliche, but it's definitely something that I if I would have one regret about that whole time is like, or my approach is if I would have been a little bit easier on myself as far as like looking where I've come. But you can't really have that if you're looking for the other thing,
You're chasing true success. And you're not looking for a small goal. You're looking at that BHAG of, I want to make it to Olympic trials. Sometimes, unfortunately, we can't stop to smell the roses because we're chasing that progress.
Exactly.
Let's fast forward a little bit. You achieved some amazing things at base camp and that brand. If you think back to the last 12 months of your life, what does that look like for you, and how have you, I guess, continued to develop your skill set and get a really good, thorough understanding for the boutique fitness space?
Yeah, so I've had the great opportunity to, so I worked at base camp for corporate, and then I consulted, which that was a whole different thing because I was coming in as a third party to a culture or to a team that had already been built. And basically my job was to assess and then blow it up and rebuild it the way that we want to see it and the way that we want it to. And then, so that was a couple of years ago, but the last 12 months, I've really just been teaching and seeing other businesses. So I teach at this place, it's called Camp in Los Angeles, which they are the leaders in community, I would say, as far as how interactive their members are with the brand, and both the brand and their events. And like their retention is very high because of that. So the last 12 months has been doing that, and then obviously teaching here and learning more about the brand from an internal perspective, from a coaching perspective, right? Where like getting involved with the community here. My location is about 10 miles from here. So there will hopefully be some crossover. We'll also get to see some of the same people when my location is open. But my goal within the last 12 months is just like show face. Like meet as many people as I can, teach as many classes as I can. I think when you talk about obsessed with progress and like thinking about that time of like my life when I was a diver, is like I remember trying, so like I never really taught a tread class. That's what I teach at camp, or what I have taught at camp currently. And
Yeah, I've done your class. It's brutal.
yeah, but I had never really taught a running class or a tread class. You know, I wasn't the best when I first started, but I made, you know, I think that's something that when you talk about what stuck with me is like honing in on your craft and making it the best that you possibly can. And as a result, you know, my classes, they are pretty successful. They're pretty busy. And I genuinely love teaching them because it's, you know, you get to play, like you said, I'm a DJ, so I get to play my music, which is really loud, which is great. And yeah, it's just, I think owning a room like that, and that's why I still like coaching, right? That's why, like, when I open my own studio, I'm not going to be standing back watching people do it. I'm going to be in there on a day-to-day basis, teaching classes and making sure that we're doing it the right way where people want to continue to return.
Yeah, I think you've done an incredible job of building your brand in Santa Monica, in LA. Like, so you're not from here. You've been able to really hone in on that, and I'm a big believer in it's not about who you know, it's who knows you. So I'm really excited that you've really invested the last 12 months in doing that, which is going to get you the return then for launching your own studio, which is in progress. We'll talk about Fitstop a little bit at the end. 10 plus years in the fitness industry. You've seen some incredible success and been a part of some amazing teams. What are your top 3 things that you're taking away from that you're going to drive straight into your own business, Playa Del Rey?
Yep. So number 1 is building team culture and through communication. So when you walk in the studio, you can immediately feel just like the vibe or like how people are and see how people are interacting with each other. So like I'm going to be able to tell if it's if the team loves it there. I'm just going to look at the way they're interacting with each other and the members. So, and you do that by making sure that you're very clear with them and communicative, and then start at the start, right? So making sure that you hire the right people and then create a culture of feedback. So if something's not going the best, or you pull them to the side right away, out of sight, making sure you're not doing it in front of your members. Again, coach privately, praise publicly, and have that conversation, give them the feedback or whatever. And then so they're used to that. And then hopefully be very clear with them that that's okay to do with each other too, as long as it's in that type of, hey, can I chat with you really quickly? Can I give you a quick piece of coaching or feedback? Making sure that they're actually down for that, because if they're not, then it's not going to go well. And so creating that culture, because then the communication style and also the vibe between people, you can always tell when people appreciate and like being around each other. You're going to be able to feel that as soon as you walk in the studio. So that's number 1 for sure. Number 2 would be class quality or product quality is everything. So this is very, very simple. Take your coaches' classes, take different coaches' classes at different times, because you might hire someone who is really good in the mornings, trash at night. Like they are out of energy, like maybe they've been working all day. Like we all have our times of the day that we're at our peak, right? Sometimes they might not be in their best. Also, you can also catch them in a one-off, but that's why you're taking multiple classes at different times, over different weeks. And so and then like we just talked about, just clear, concise communication on, hey, notice that this was a little off, like what's going on. It's always a one-off thing could be, but if it's something that you're continuing to coach someone on, continuing to see in classes, you can also look in at the attendance as well. You'll be able to coach them on that. And so like making sure that the product is always the focus. And if it continues to stay at a high level, then people will always want to come back, right? So that's definitely number 2. And then number 3 is close the gate. So retention. How you do this is through those first two combined, and then make it fun. So community events, making sure that your staff is involved with these events. So an event doesn't just necessarily mean another workout with a sponsor, right? Like that's not, I wouldn't even consider that really an event, at least for my studio. That's like a surprise and delight for your members and for your coaches. I would consider an event like an offsite mixer where like you purposely meet up outside of the studio where people are out of their gym clothes, out of this space. And so they can build connections that will bring them back. I mean, we're supposed to be, lift weights with your mates, right? Like if you don't make any mates, it's going to be a pretty tough time to do that, right? So that's a really great way to like solidify those relationships and help close the gate so people don't leave out the back door. When they, if they're feeling a little bit off, or sometimes even if they have one bad session, that's enough for people to walk away. But if you have friends that you work out with that you met last week, and now you're meeting up with them, like, oh, I might not have the best workout, but I told these people that I'll see them tomorrow, right? So that community piece, number 3, closing the gate through community events or community-driven, I think, again, it goes back to culture, right? Just creating a culture of community, like outside of the studio, meeting up, friendships that exist outside the studio and inside the studio.
Love it. I'm going to summarize really quick. Number 1 for you is culture, but it's performance-driven culture. That's done by making sure the team know what our goals are, what we're trying to achieve, what the studio's doing for the month. The second one is making sure the product's perfect. And to make sure the product is perfect and the experience is incredible for your member, you want to constantly have a feedback loop. So post-session, hey, I noticed these things. We could lean into this.
Yeah, I would also say for number 1 too is you're setting the standard with number 1, where you're, along with those communication things or communications of this is where we stand. When you're having these meetings, which can be, once a month or whenever you feel like you need, you're reestablishing the standard, and that can show up in many ways. Maybe we role play. Hey, can you show me what your setup and your cell is for a trial? So we're gonna do it to each other. We're gonna give each other feedback. Then when you get to number 2. Now when I see you and I see, or even if another coach sees you and they're like, hey, I noticed this, you've already practiced receiving feedback from these people. So it's a lot easier for you to be open to feedback.
That's a really good tip.
I think that's the one between 1 and 2.
And your number 3 is all about retention. Close the gate. Get people together, get them outside of the gym, make sure they lift weights with their mates. They develop connection, and then it's circular, rinse and repeat every single month.
Exactly. And then number 3 is one of my favorite terms was close the gate. So close the gate has to do with retention. So like the great analogy that I was taught was you herd all these sheep, right? And that would be our new members or just our current members. You herd them and you're like tending to your flock. But it doesn't matter if you leave the back gate open, they're gonna escape. Right? So that goes into like the retention piece. And that for me that I've learned is building a strong community, but like not just talking about it. And it's actually doing it. So monthly mixers or just like opportunities for people to meet outside of the studio, outside of this space. I think it's always great to host fitness events in the space, social events, get them out of there. Like get them out of the studio. One of my favorite things to do at mixers.
What's the craziest mixer you've done?
Oh my God, I don't even know. It's just like it can get a little bit too much sometimes, but what it always ends up is people smiling at the studio next week. You can immediately tell that they chat at the bar for an hour and now they're like, oh, let's take a class together this week. That is such an easy way to, and like this doesn't mean you have to put everybody on your bar tab. You just have to tell people where to meet. Okay, I'm not saying to do that. But it's such an easy thing because then people now, they're something to get that they look forward to every month or whenever you want to do it. I would suggest when you're first starting, definitely monthly.
With, like celebrating your first month of being open, like looking for those key milestones. Like you said, it's not just the team that want to feel that culture of growing and winning. Your members want to feel it as well.
I
think get to celebrate that.
We also made it like an event to like where it was just like something everybody talked about in the studio, and it was as soon as you walked in, if you're a new member and it was your first month, you would know that the mixers were something that we did every month, because people, as soon as we started announcing it after class, people would start talking about it, and you'd hear people, oh, like, what time are you getting there? What are you doing before? Like, what do you like? Oh, should we go out after? And those are such fun conversations, and you have to start at the start, which means you have to do it, right?
Yeah.
And you have to be able to.
And maybe the first one you only have 10 people turn up, and then you have 30 people, and you have 300 people.
Yeah, I think but this also goes into what we talked about first, which is your culture of your team.
Yeah.
Because if you hire people that aren't down to like hop out of be out of the studio, it's gonna be hard for you to motivate, because that's part of the motivation. Is people also want to hang out with the staff outside the studio, because we have our our professional look on in the studio, and like, not like we don't take that out of it, but people want to hang out with the staff. They want to hang out with the coaches. They look up to them, and so that's an opportunity for them to make them a little bit more human as well. So yeah, that would be the third one, is definitely like close the gate, which is through community events.
So your big focus really building that team, holding high standards, really clear and concise communication. Then you're going to really focus on product delivery, perfect session, great experience. And then building a culture of your members that is focused on retention, closing the gate. The boutique space, the fitness business can be quite simple if you nail those three elements. I couldn't agree more.
100%, yeah.
What are we going to expect out of Playa? This is kind of you jumping back in the deep end. Probably getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. It's something, like you said, it's been on that vision board, that 5 to 10 year goal. You're doing it. What is it that you're going to take your 10 plus years learnings and plug into, I guess, the perfect model, the perfect community, the perfect business for yourself?
I think exactly those three things. Like, I think we talked about it briefly before we met today, and you asked me the question, kind of what we're going to go over today. And it took me maybe 3 minutes for me to come up with those three things, because they're so easy to nail. Or I would say actually the opposite. They're so hard to nail perfectly. They're so easy to mess up. And they sound so simple on paper, but it's the small little things that you do. Like, again, do you take a class and you give your coach feedback immediately after every time? Like, not just taking class, because then now they're expecting it. Right? And even encouraging from coach to coach, like, now they're expecting it, right? Well, how I talked about how I was expecting to be coached all the time in diving, right? Like, if you're expecting it, then you don't get defensive, and then you actually listen, right? Then they're actually listening, and they're taking it, and they're implementing it. And so for Playa, for me, it's like we're about to start building, right? So I'm in the process of trying to find the right team, and I'm a big believer in variety on your schedule, both variety in personalities, people, genders. Like, I think all of that type of is really important, and because if the only time I can take class at 6 a.m. and I have to deal with me every day, like, there's gonna be some people, like, I'm a great coach, but some people aren't gonna vibe with me, and that's okay. Like, but I think that right now I'm in the process of taking different classes and really just building the right team from the ground up, because that's what I've learned is, like, if you have that solid foundation and they're already at that standard, that some of the things are not coachable. Right? They're innate. And so by finding those right people that want to take on, especially this time of a business, that are stakeholders, like, that you want them to feel like it's theirs too. That's what I'm looking for right now. And so that's the first step. And then from then on is, like, my favorite thing to do is, like, go out and dance with people and, like, go have fun. Like, it's no secret. And that's kind of my brand, is, like, work hard, play harder. And that's exactly what Playa is going to be. And my location's 2 blocks from the beach. So integrating definitely that piece of it, of beach days right after class on Saturdays, that type of stuff, where we can people can leave their stuff, we can lock the studio, and we can walk to the beach together. You know, like that type of stuff and we've had the discussion before of like making the members feel like it's theirs too. And I think that's the most important piece of any business is they feel like it's a safe place that they can go anytime. And it starts with the staff, where how it feels when you walk in. Yeah, for sure.
Success leads clues, and you've definitely given us a lot of clues today. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
If people want to follow your journey and see what's next, what's your Instagram handle?
Yeah, so my personal is at Andres Hansen, ANDRES HANSEN, and then or at Fitstop Playa Del Rey. Check it out. See a lot of fun Richard content. Richard's my dog, so he's on there a lot. So yeah. That's it.
We love it. We can't wait to see you absolutely crush this open and see you build an incredible community, holding high standards, getting amazing results, and having a heap of fun doing it. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, guys.